I've always been of the opinion that open-ear concept earphones, they lack bass, they lack personality. It feels like you're standing in a room where a speaker is like somewhere there and just echoing into your ear. And sometimes it also has a pleasant feel to it. Like for example, when you're listening to a podcast on an open-ear earphone, it actually feels like it's part of your world and you're not like sucked into a video. It does, to a certain degree, make you feel open and airy. So it has some pros and cons. Now these are the Acefit Air earphones from a company called Acefast, and they're an open-ear concept earphone. Now open air refers to the fact that they don't penetrate your ear. They lie on top of the ear shell on the outside, and the music or the audio you're listening to just flows into the ear instead of being directionally pushed into the ear. The design is this soft silicone material with a titanium nickel memory wire running through the center to give it structure. They are pretty lightweight, coming in at 7.5 grams, and hang on your ear pretty comfortably too, once you figure them out. It took me a while to figure them out, however, I found a way to make them semi-comfortable. They do take some time to get used to be very honest, especially if you're a headphone guy or an inner ear type of person. Yes, when you're running, I wouldn't necessarily recommend an open ear earphone for the comfortability of the bouncing around in most cases. However, there are certain open ear earphones that you can run with. These are ones I'd rate a 6 to 7 out of 10 when it comes to running comfortability. However, just managing your normal day-to-day, sitting at a desk or working or even being outside in your garden, I'd rate them a 8.5 out of 10 for how comfortable they sit on my ear. I think the best way to describe the audio is as if there's like music playing in the room you're sitting in. You can still hear everything that's going on in the room, but you can also hear what you're listening to. Now, a lot of people are worried about sound leaking out of the earphones to the people next to you. I've done a test on that. It's not that bad. You don't really hear it when the people are next to you. Yes, there's some noise coming from it, but that's to be expected. It is an open ear earphone. So just don't watch like things you shouldn't be watching or listen to things you shouldn't be listening to. Well, in public, of course. I think the tricky part with open-ear earphones, especially like these, are that we tested them out in the office here around, and most of the people say, yes, they fit perfectly fine and they're normal to use, but there are people that say they just don't feel nice and they fit a little bit loose, and that's the thing, everybody's ear is different. So you'll have to know whether you have an ear that is compatible with an open-ear earphone. As for color options on these, they are available in both black and white. And while I have the white versions here, I do think the black versions look a little bit better. They don't stand out as much. Now, the most important thing when it comes to earphones is the sound quality. And remember those downsides I mentioned earlier? Well, even though they've built a pretty large 20x8mm driver into this thing, it still suffers the biggest issue open-ear earphones have, and that is loss of low-end frequencies. Overall, they do sound pretty great, especially if you're into acoustic music or something with a lot of highs and mids in the details. But if you're a basshead, you know, you like the boof, doof, these earphones are a little bit more difficult. The doof doof isn't doofing, if you know what I mean. You can use their app to set a custom equalizer to tweak things a little bit to make them sound a bit more like what you're looking for. Out of the box, I'd highly recommend doing some of those things though, especially if you're somebody that likes a little bit more of the lower tones. My overall feel and experience with this device is, if you're looking for something to listen to podcasts to, be out and about and still experience the things around you, listen to acoustic music, or just simply have something that can help you with some sound in your ears while not blocking you out of society totally, then this might be a good option. They're affordable, the quality is quite high, and the user-friendliness of the whole setup is at the higher level of these devices that I've tested in the past. Something else I'm also not a very big fan of is when the audio gets really loud on these devices, especially like above 40% of the max volume. That's when you start to hear the frequencies leak a little bit to the outside world. So keep that in mind. Low level is fine to handle, nobody can hear a thing. Higher than 40%, you start to hear a little bit of that leakage. Another very cool thing about these earphones though is that they have a touch control built in. Just like our other premium earphones we get. I do, however, feel the sensitivity on these are a little bit high. I found that sometimes if I'm just trying to push the devices back into place, I touch buttons that I shouldn't have been touching. So I think it's a user problem, but it's just how these devices are set up. You win some, you lose some. By default, if you do 1 tap, it's for volume, 2 taps for play or pause, answering calls, and 3 taps for going forward or backward, depending on which ear you're tapping. Forward, backward. You can even bring up your voice assistant by holding down both of them at the same time. It's kind of a weird, imagine like, hey, voice assistant, please do this for me. It's a weird look, but it's something interesting. Fun thing you can do though is go into the app and change the controls yourself. That's quite a cool customization option that we have available to us. The charging case is very nice. It's a flat profile. It's kind of like those puddings they call smackaroons. It's nice. Low profile, has a USB Type-C charger, and it doesn't pop open very easily. So it really protects the devices inside. And when they're inside, shake test, they kind of stay inside. I really actually shake them right now. Nice. It makes it really easy to just throw into your pocket and not having like a very large bump in there that feels weird. It's also got a soft touch to it. The finish, it doesn't show any fingerprints. It might get dirty if you have the white version. Mine hasn't got dirty yet. I've used it quite a bit. And it also has magnetized ear inside pieces. They also just snap into place on their magnets when they have to get charged. And it should give you about 6 hours on a charge, assuming you keep them at about 50 to 60% volume. Perfect for a workday in most cases. Almost broke them. The case itself also has battery held inside of it, so about 18 hours-ish if you're working nicely with it and it's fully charged. They do also have fast charging built into them. So if the buds run flat, you can just throw them in here for a few minutes and you're good to go again. I noticed about 10 minutes of charging gives you about 2 hours of listening experience. That's a nice pace of charging. It's also worth mentioning the IP rating in case you want to wear them when you gym or maybe in the rain. Don't want to get caught with a device that can't handle it. These are IP54 rated, and I'll throw up the different IP ratings on the screen right now. So sweat and light rain shouldn't be an issue, although swimming with them definitely get them like broken. You're gonna just lose your earphones. You shouldn't do that. Not too bad, right? I think my overall feeling about the Acefit Airs is it's a very semi-premium device at a very low price. It fits decently if you're a person that open-ear earphones can fit. It looks nice, the design style is very elegant and sleek. It has a good battery quality, very normal audio to expect from these open-ear earphones, and worth a try. I'll leave the link in the description below if you want to check out the black version, the white version. Perhaps you can get a good deal. I update these links very frequently, so perhaps there's a very good deal available at the moment. I'll leave the link down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Stefan from We Do Tech. We spend the money, sometimes wasted, so you don't have to. See you in the next one. Cheers, bye.